We're talking about the symbolism of birds in the Bible over the last couple of videos, and I want to think about how birds represent different kinds of people. Birds in the creation are mediators between earth and heaven, and birds in the Bible often represent people that are mediating between heaven and earth. And we can see that in a couple of different ways. Israel is that mediating people. Israel as a whole is a priestly people. And part of that, that's marked in part by their clothing. They don't all wear high priestly garments, so they don't all look like priests. But they do have tassels at the ends, or what the Bible calls the wings of their garments. And these tassels are multicolored. They're from two different kinds of materials, similar to the high priestly robes. So every Israelite with these tassels at the end of his garments, on the wings of his garment, is dressed in some way like a priest. And those markers of priestly status are at the wings of his robe. Every Israelite is like an angel. Every Israelite is like a priest. Every Israelite is like a bird that mediates between the earth and heaven, between earth and the heavens, on behalf of the nations of the earth. Israel has this kind of mediating status. Israel is the flock of God. Israel is also like a flock of birds in God's presence. In particular, we find in the sacrificial system that birds represent kind of marginal people, and in a couple of different ways. In one sense, marginal people are on the margins, the upper margins. That's what I've already been talking about, where Israel as a whole and the priests in particular mediate between heaven and earth, between the nations and God. But birds are also used in the sacrificial system to represent the poor, those who are marginal on the other end of the spectrum. Those are on the outside that aren't integrated into the community of Israel. So if a very poor person brings a sin offering, he doesn't have to bring a bull. He doesn't have to bring a goat. He doesn't have to bring a lamb. He can't afford it. He can bring a bird, and that suffices. When a leper is cleansed, the sacrifice or the ritual that's done in order to cleanse him involves two birds that function kind of like the two goats on the Day of Atonement. One bird is sacrificed, the other bird is released. Those birds represent the liberation of the leper who's been on the margins of Israel, and the birds are reintegrating him. That offering of birds is reintegrating him into the community. And so the reality of birds, the observation of birds reminds us of these marginal people on the margins of human communities. I think that's part of the reasons why Jesus tells us to go to the birds, to think about the Father's care of us. We go to the birds don't spin, they don't toil, they aren't part of a working community, and yet God provides for them. He provides for all of us like that, but he particularly provides, Jesus is saying, for those who are on the margins, for those who are poor, so that they can be integrated back into the community of the people of God.